Welcome to this resource investigation. I'm your host, and today we are executing an absolute complete bypass of the municipal water grid. Right out of the gate, we're putting on our hacker hats and stripping away the massive corporate middlemen. We're diving into the raw, unfiltered data of true resource independence and shifting the power from billion-dollar utility conglomerates directly back to you. Look, whether you realize it or not, you are currently stuck in what our source documents call the water rent trap. You're tethered to a failing 160-year-old infrastructure. But today, we're breaking down the solution, the $50 smart water box loophole. This is a brilliant method designed to pull 40 gallons of pure, clean water a day, literally out of thin air. So if you're ready to stop being robbed by utility companies and take control of your own supply, like the video and subscribe for more independence hacks right now. Let's get into the breakdown. To really grasp this loophole, we've got to first peel back the layers of our point A dependency. Take a look at that 3,000% figure. That is the staggering markup you and I are forced to pay for municipal water. When you look at utility companies as a failing business empire, which, honestly, from an infrastructure standpoint, they absolutely are, you start to see how vulnerable we are. We're basically just tenants to their grid. You don't own the water, you just rent the delivery system. And man, they are charging you a massive premium for it. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial quote from the investigation documents. That 3,000% markup, it's not just a standard utility bill. It is quite literally a hidden debt who are paying for the grid's failure. The municipal grid was just never built to handle the realities of the 21st century. It's snapping in slow motion. As a grid tenant, your monthly payments aren't funding state-of-the-art tech. They're just a desperate attempt to patch up a crumbling empire. Let's agitate this problem just a little bit further because we really need to look at exactly what that massive markup is actually buying you. We got to look at the pipes. Most of these municipal lines were laid over a century ago, and they are actively corroding from the inside out. The source data points out that your premium payments are delivering a product that's frequently contaminated with lead and toxic forever chemicals. You are paying top dollar to ingest the industrial runoff of a 160-year-old delivery mechanism. It's crazy. Now, as an investigator, I rely heavily on data, and I rely on trust. According to source credibility theory, 78.8% of consumers trust a recommendation when it's based on radical transparency. And hey, that is exactly what I'm delivering to you today. No corporate PR spin, no utility company talking points. Just the unfiltered, hard truth about your grid dependency, and much more importantly, the exact mechanical steps to completely break free from it. So let's transition into the core of today's tech breakdown. How do we get out of this trap? Well, it's by applying what the documentation calls influencer science, right alongside a grassroots hacker mentality. In the tech world, a hacker mentality isn't about, writing malicious code. It's about finding the absolute most efficient way to solve a systemic problem by completely eliminating the middleman. We're taking that exact same reverse engineering approach and applying it directly to your home's water supply. The so-called forbidden tech at the center of this loophole relies on a truly brilliant scientific concept, atmospheric condensation. This is the process of using rapid temperature drops to extract infinite moisture directly from the air around you. And the genius here? This isn't some massive, loud, clunky industrial machine. It's a highly efficient niche spend, basically a clever adaptation of high-end atmospheric technology scaled all the way down for your own backyard. The data shows this works even in bone-dry 10% desert humidity. The atmosphere is literally a giant, infinite reservoir, and this tech taps directly into it. What makes this the ultimate hacker move is the DIY simplicity of the build. You definitely do not need an engineering degree or expensive specialized tools for this. It's just a simple 3-step process. You source the parts locally, you follow a super straightforward Lego-style blueprint, and boom, you begin condensing naturally distilled H2O. It's about taking high-level science and making it accessible to anyone willing to put in, say, a Saturday afternoon of work. And by the way, if you're finding this tech breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next independence hack. All right, here is the ultimate radical transparency moment of this investigation, the price tag. To build this atmospheric condensation device, the smart water box, every single piece of hardware you need can be found at your local hardware store for about $50. $50. That is literally the entire barrier to entry standing between you and complete independence from a failing municipal grid. It fundamentally changes the math of survival and self-reliance forever. But look, we don't just trust wild claims, we verify with data. Which brings us to our first major evidence moment. Look closely at this lab results table. When the DIY air water generated by the smart water box was sent to a professional lab, the results were totally definitive. Across the board, it scored absolute zeros in every toxic category: zero lead, zero fluoride, zero industrial runoff. It completely outperformed standard municipal tap water and premium bottled brands, which, let's be real, are often just filtered tap water anyway. This box produces pure, naturally distilled water. And beyond just the health metrics, let's pivot to the ecological side of the data. Research shows that 43.3% of consumers actively prefer eco-conscious solutions. Do you fall into that category? Because if so, the smart water box is absolutely the ultimate sustainable move. You aren't just saving yourself from contaminants, you are actively withdrawing your participation from a massively wasteful industrial complex. Let's look at the total ROI metrics of this off-grid escape hatch. First off, you're generating zero plastic waste. No more cases of plastic water bottles piling up in your garage. Second, it uses zero grid energy, completely bypassing the utility company's infrastructure. And financially, because the initial build cost is a mere $50, this device easily pays for itself in just a few short months of saved utility bills and eliminated bottled water costs. It's a massive return on a very, very minimal investment. This leads us right to our second evidence moment, the core logical transformation of this entire investigation. We are mapping out the journey from point A to point B. Point A is grid dependency, being a vulnerable tenant subject to random price hikes, contaminated pipes, and a system that is snapping in slow motion. Point B is total water ownership. When you own the source, you stop being a victim. You achieve absolute self-reliance. It's a profound psychological and physical shift from vulnerability to true independence. So how do you actually execute this bypass today? Well, in reviewing the official blueprint, our investigation found a specific action plan currently being offered. Right now, along with the official Smart Water Box guide, the creators are throwing in 3 free bonuses for those who are ready to make the jump. You get an off-grid power hack to further sever your ties to the utilities, and a survival seed bank secret. Now, from an investigative standpoint, I have no idea how long they'll keep this specific data accessible, so the urgency is real here. The grid isn't getting any younger, and those utility bills certainly aren't getting any cheaper. Which leaves us with the ultimate question of this resource investigation. Are you going to stay a grid tenant, paying a hidden debt for a failing system, or will you take action and own your future? The choice is entirely yours, but the tools have literally never been more accessible. Like the video, subscribe for more independence hacks, and check the link in the description for the full $50 blueprint. Stop paying for a failing grid, start owning your supply, and I will see you in the next investigation.